What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone is doing well out there on a Tuesday. I hope you guys have started off your week well out there, and I hope your weekend, your holiday weekend, for Thanksgiving and everything was great as well. I hope you guys got a chance to carve that turkey, eat that dressing, all of that good stuff, and watch some good football out there. So overall, I hope everyone is doing well out there as always. As always, guys, we appreciate you all listening in to the show. You know, guys, we're on many different streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So, as always, guys, we appreciate you all listening to the show. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It's definitely important to us. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So, as always, guys, we very much appreciate you guys' support with the show. As always, you know who I'm with, guys. I'm with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, my brother?
Man, nothing much. It's finally coming down off the high from this weekend. You know, it's just what an incredible rivalry weekend we had, Kory. Just everything that went down. I'm still up there, but you know, it's starting to come down a little bit. We gotta get ready for championship weekend. But man, like that was college football at its finest, brother.
Yes, it was. I mean, I still can't get some of these games out of my head, Chris. Like we've talked about pandemonium. We've used that word on multiple occasions, Chris. That was pandemonium.
It was pandemonium. It was WrestleMania. It was the Royal Rumble. It was all of that.
Survivor Series.
Yes. But it was Survivor Series from 11 a.m. Central Time until 11 p.m. for 12 hours. It wasn't just wrestling. So yeah,
man. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. It was definitely all of those things, just straight out of the WWE universe, put into college football, wrapped up into one. Chris, nah, it was crazy, but it definitely made for some great entertainment.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I mean, we're about to get into all of it, but man, it makes me love this sport and even more than you already do, and it also makes me figure out how in the heck are we going to decide these playoffs.
Your guess is just as good as mine, sir.
Making it 12 teams was supposed to make it easier. This has only made it harder and worse and just more controversy, Kory. Yeah. Well, at least that's what they said, it was supposed to make it easier. But we had an idea that something like this play out, and had it played out.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one thing to, you know, have that one spot in for, you know, the group of five, Chris, but you know what happens when everyone else is ruining their chances when you can have two potential group of five champions get into the college football playoffs. So it's a mess. it's a beautiful, amazing, chaotic mess.
That's exactly what's going on. Oh boy, I'm just laughing at it all because we're gonna break it all down. But Alabama not supposed to be in the playoff, man. I just feel like they're gonna make the playoffs.
Look, man, you never know. You never know at this point.
Oh, I know. Then they gonna end up in there somehow. It needs to be South Carolina. Yes, I know they lost to Alabama, but it still needs to be South Carolina. That's who's going to get hosed. But we'll get into all of that.
Yeah, we definitely are. We definitely are, man. Well, I mean, what a great weekend it was, Chris. We got to get into it, of course. folks. If you were lying under a rock last weekend, we had some bangers out there on the gridiron. We got to go ahead, Chris. Start off with probably the most shocking loss of the day. Ohio State loses to Michigan. Ohio State came in this game number 2 in the country, Chris. This game was in Columbus, Ohio. They lost this game 13-10 against the Michigan Wolverines in the game. Fight broke out right afterwards. Ridiculous. We've seen the flag planting on the middle of the field multiple times during this week. What a mess going on in Columbus, Ohio right now, Chris. I'm going to leave the floor to you because I did not see this one coming. When you called me right after that game clock struck 0, I was just in shock. I'm still in shock, honestly. I'm going to give the floor to you. What were your thoughts about this game's outcome, Chris? And where does Ryan Day and Ohio State go from here? Because, like I said, I don't think no one saw this coming.
Man, when I gave you my bolts and bets and told you, it says Michigan take the points. I think they're going to, copy the Nebraska playbook. Ohio State has yet to just assert their dominance. They've won, but they hadn't just been whooping heads, whooping feet, as Kendrick would say, this season. They've been winning, but they ain't been whooping feet. And that's how it played out. I mean, Michigan really did copy the Nebraska game plan and just did what Nebraska couldn't do to a T and pulled off the dub. I wasn't as shocked it was a close game, but as the game continued, word about Monty Jones, Ohio State had lemon booty. They just that hole behind you just got tighter and tighter. They just didn't know what to do with themselves, man. That pressure just continued to mount on them, and you saw the team playing tight. You saw Carnell Tate dropping passes as easy first downs. The kicker melting down, missing 2 huge field goals at home. Ryan Day looking redder and redder. I thought he was a Christmas ornament out there, and it wasn't because of the cold. And even the play calling, Kory. Ohio State, they ran the ball so much, and that is the strength of this Michigan defense. Will Johnson is not playing corner anymore. Will Johnson's not on the field. You weren't attacking the secondary with Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Those 3 guys, those are NFL guys. All 3 of those guys are going to play on Sundays. Will be draft picks in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And you did not try to expose the secondary. You continue to run the ball into the teeth of this defense. It all set up so well for Michigan. And Michigan took advantage, and as the game continued, and you could see the play calling was tense and tight with Chip Kelly and Ryan Day. It was just the perfect script. And Michigan, despite some self-inflicted wounds, a critical red zone turnover from Davis Warren, the interception, pound away, got the ball back, got to stop, a huge 3-and-out. And just pounded the rock. Everybody, all 100,000 fans in Ohio State, every person in that stadium knew Michigan was about to run the ball every play. And those 11 guys on the field still couldn't stop it, Kory. Then last round, they still couldn't stop it.
Just a mess. Just a mess from the beginning to the end. And I saw a crazy stat, Chris, where the star differential in talent, that gap, there were a lot of 4 and 5 stars on this Ohio State team alone that played in this game, and they couldn't get the job done over I think it was like 14 5-stars compared to like um I think Michigan's one. They had
And
one
then
5-star.
and think about all the guys who are not playing. Um, the star tight end for Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wasn't on the field. Will Johnson wasn't playing in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Just notable players. Donovan Edwards had his ankle injury, and it was he. So you were without the Don, but hey, have no fear. They still found a way to make it happen. The running game was huge. Mullings had that huge run on third down,
Mm-hmm.
broke free, and that was the play of the game in my eyes. I just feel like he was dead to rights in the backfield and bounced it outside and got a first down. But just credit to Michigan for it. Looks like they have Ohio State like mentally. There is some kind of block. I think I don't know what it is, but like Ryan Day, if he's looking back at this game, how did you scheme your team to try to go grit for grit, be tougher than Michigan? Michigan prided itself on toughness. This, like you said, this isn't the most talented Michigan team either. This is the team fresh off of losing guys like a Blake Corn.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that they lost to the NFL that were huge pieces last season. Roman Wilson, those guys. Um, and yet you still want to try to bully Michigan when you have all this talent on the outside and all the inexperience Michigan has in the secondary without Will Johnson out there. It's really dumb game planning. It was dumb coaching. And it minimized the talent at Ohio State and did not put them in a position to succeed. And this loss is completely on Ryan Day. Completely, 100%. This is the worst, the most boof Michigan team you've seen to date. A 5-loss Michigan team. And this is what you put on the field on Saturday? That performance? Just terrible. And what you get Will Howard for out the portal if you're not going to trust him and let him free, let him loose? Isn't this why you went and got him? He's a veteran quarterback. Do you not trust him to make the plays? Because your play calling sure told me that you didn't.
Yeah. It was just a mess. I mean, we're not even talking about the potential injury that Will Howard had got in the game. You can question, that too. Bringing him back in the game. The guy's safety, along with you're not moving the ball correctly up and down the field. So I definitely get what you're saying, Chris. It seems like Ryan Day, when he goes against Michigan, it's like this weird, like voodoo mind tricks that Michigan has over Ohio State and Ryan Day. I don't know what it is. Frankly, if you're an Ohio State fan, you don't really care anymore because you're ready to just wipe your hands and start with a clean slate at this point. This is 4 straight losses to the Michigan Wolverines, Chris.
That does not happen in Columbus, Kory. This is as much as huge of a rivalry this is. Ohio State is known for dominating this rivalry. You don't lose straight to Michigan. If it's one thing Jim Tressel, the legend Jim Tressel himself did during his tenure at Ohio State, he was at least winning this game. He ever had a couple losses sprinkled in there. But Coach Tressel, he made sure them people liked him. You know why? Because he beat Michigan. He didn't win all the national championships in the world. You know what I'm saying? He just had his one.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did do was win against Michigan. And Ryan Day, brother, if you don't go out here and win this national championship with flying colors, with style points, you need style points too.
Yeah.
You need to erase every memory of this game's existence. If you
Lots of
don't do
style
that,
points.
I think it's a good chance he's out of here, Kory. The people at Ohio State, they will find the funding. They will make it happen, especially after they just spent $20 million to give you arguably the most talented roster in college football history. Outside of looking at draft results and all that stuff, like the Michigan, the Miami teams of the early 2000s, and how we look back on them. But if you just look at blue chip prospects, as you mentioned earlier, the number of 4 and 5 star players, there is not a roster that like this to date.
No.
This is the best roster money can buy, and this is how you perform.
I'm floored, Chris. I am floored with how bad they fumbled this. They were right there. It's one thing to lose to an undefeated Oregon by 1 point. Sure, you can figure that out, come back from that, be all right. It's another thing. You're Ohio State. You lose the game against Michigan at home. You're a double-digit favorite.
And you don't go to the conference championship games. Not only did you lose the game, which was one of your goals,
yeah,
you lost another one of your goals, which was to win the Big Ten. You don't even get to play for the championship game. The team that you beat is playing in it. Penn State.
Come on, like that's crazy talk. And you had an opportunity, a golden opportunity, to get revenge back on an Oregon team that beat you by 1 point. I was looking forward to that.
If you win that game, you very well have a chance to be the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. You set yourself up for that. It's a lot of things that went down the drain on Saturday losing to Michigan. And it's a good possibility that you might be a road team. You go from being the team that would get a bye if you win the Big Ten. And now you might be on the road in the inaugural college football playoff, 12-team playoff. This is a nightmare. A nightmare situation. A disastrous situation in Columbus.
It is. I don't know what to tell you, Chris. It's the only time will tell at this point. I'm gonna, as what Lane Kiffin said a couple of years ago, get your popcorn ready, because I think if you're an Ohio State fan, or even if you're not an Ohio State fan, I think it's best to get your popcorn ready and see what happens, because this is going to be a long next several weeks for Ohio State in terms of them, going to the playoffs, seeing if they can make something shake and potentially win a national championship after all of this. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely is. So we'll see what goes down.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's just a rough one, but shout out to Sharon Moore. You beat your rival. You get
Sharon
the number
Moore's
one
the man.
recruit.
He walking around like Pop. He got his chest out. I'm 2-0 against Ryan Day. What you mean?
Yeah.
and you lost to my not so good squad. Think about that.
Yeah.
Bryce Underwood's coming, baby. Mm-hmm. We got some. You talk about blue chips. They got blue chips on the way.
Oh, look,
they got 5 stars on the way. This one's gonna get worse from here.
They got a lot of 5 stars on the way. Look, the same amount of 5 stars that tried out on the field for Ohio State in the game, they bringing that plus more potentially at Michigan for next season. So that's what you got to worry about. Right?
You should have got your licks in on us this year, because when Bryce gets out there, And so with these receivers, that same Michigan offense you saw this year, it's going to be a little more opened up, I shall say.
Yeah.
It's going to be going to be some more throwing of the football, a little more spread formations. It's not going to be just some of the ground and pound that you've seen, the power eye or the ace tight, single back tight formations. It's gonna get real next year. So it's tough man. It is a blown opportunity for Ohio State.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. So yeah, man, it's what a crazy game it was. We saw the whole fight, of course. I think both schools had got fined like $150, $150,000, and but no suspensions and stuff were out of it. But I think that's just how the cookie crumbles when it happens with this particular rivalry. These two don't like each other.
Exactly.
So yeah. Well, Chris, what a crazy game indeed. Before we move on, is there anything else you'd like to add about this game before we move on to our next game?
No, sir.
All right. All right. Well, now, Chris, we are about to go over to Death Valley, where the number 12 Clemson Tigers hosted number 15 South Carolina. The Gamecocks came into town for the what they call it, the Palmetto State rivalry, Chris. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these two teams, they don't like each other either. Every year they're always, if you're a follower of recruiting, both of these teams are always jockeying for some of the top prospects in the state of South Carolina. So yeah, this was a big game in Clemson. Overall, Chris, I wasn't really shocked at who won the game, but how this game did play out. South Carolina defeats Clemson 17-14. South Carolina is now 9-3. The only loss that they have, conference loss, or I should say, they did have a couple of conference losses.
They had the Alabama loss that they should have won, and also the LSU game that they had honestly taken that from their hands.
Yes,
by the refs.
Yes, my apologies for that. So yeah, they're now sitting nicely with a 9-3 record, Chris. After losing those 3 games to LSU, Bama, and Ole Miss. And now I'm starting to look at this team and saying, like, hey, these guys deserve a shot in the new 12-team format now. They have done everything that they have possibly been given for them to do. They've handled their schedule about as well as they can, and they have peaked to what I can say is one of the top 12 teams in the country. I think they deserve that spot. So, Chris, I'm going to leave the floor to you. What are your thoughts about South Carolina now that they've done just a remarkable job at turning their season around? What are your thoughts about them potentially trying to make a name for themselves with the committee?
Man, what an incredible, resilient win by this team. Way to show character. You were trailing by a touchdown going into the fourth quarter on the road against your in-state rival. This is the game that they lose early in the year, Kory. And why can I say that? Because we saw them lose this game earlier this season. We saw them lose to Alabama. We saw them lose to LSU. Games that they should have won. But maybe just maybe they don't win this game without going through those experiences and staying bought in, locked in to what Shane Beamer is selling
Mm-hmm.
and his team. Lenore Sellers, the redshirt freshman quarterback, grinded out a victory, scoring 10 unanswered in the fourth to win by 3. And just a huge win for this team. One of the more underrated wins of the weekend. I really hope it's reflected in the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday. You guys will know this before our episode will be out, so you'll listen to the episode and then you'll see how the committee ranked the teams. But this was a huge win. This is a tough win, man. Clemson's for real. Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to a team we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show.
Right. But Clemson has 2 losses outside of the ACC, and they're both the SEC teams. Like, this is a team that if Clemson scheduled your run-of-the-mill competition, they're sitting pretty locked and loaded in the playoff, Kory.
Yeah.
You're not telling me an 11-1 Clemson team isn't locked and loaded. They're ranked top 5 in the nation if they don't play Georgia and South Carolina. But South Carolina definitely deserves to be in the playoff. So impressed by this group because honestly, they are a year ahead of schedule. This team's they're going to be even better next year, Kory. Everybody's so young on this team. All these guys are coming back, except for Rocket Sanders, who's a key piece that they got out the portal. But Shane Beamer, and you see how Rocket Sanders has been playing. It's going to be easy to recruit another running back out of the portal if they want to come join the team and be a part of the system, especially when you're running read options with a guy like Sellers, the threat that he presents. So it makes running lanes even more possible for a running back to flourish in the system. This South Carolina team this year is legit. They are nobody you want to play. And I think they have solidified themselves as a playoff team. And if Alabama is in that damn playoff over South Carolina, regardless of the head-to-head, when you look, and I'm gonna tie it to this because the committee messed up. You messed up, committee. I'm gonna hold you accountable. When you took out Florida State and put in another team ahead of Florida State based off how they are playing at the moment. Who is the team that's playing the better ball? Who has a better opportunity at winning instead of what happened on the field? When you looked at Florida State without Jordan Travis and said, you know what, you're not a playoff team. All right, well, let's look at Alabama, who had to fight tooth and nail with an Auburn, who had to force all the turnovers in the world, just has an incompetent offense. And it's the only reason they lost that game. When you see Alabama going tooth and nail with Auburn at home compared to a South Carolina that won on the road at Clemson, you can't tell me that team is better than South Carolina. So South Carolina better be in this damn playoff.
No, you're right. Like, what is there else for South Carolina to do at this point? Like, yeah, they're not in the SEC title game. We understand that. Yeah, they lost to LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama. But, hell, we look back at all of those losses at the time. All of those teams were somewhat, talked about and being teams that were potentially a 12-team playoff teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's the difference?
And one of those games, LSU should not be a loss. If Sellers doesn't get injured, they win that game for sure. But then there was some real questionable officiating that went down in that LSU game. Most notably, that pick six that was overturned.
Yeah.
For a penalty that was not a penalty.
Just
that is the difference right now. If that doesn't happen, South Carolina's ranked the top 8 team in the nation, and they are easily in. So I just know that they have proven themselves. They are playing some of the best ball in the nation. over the last 2 months. This is a team that's ascending and peaking. And in a year with all the parity that we have seen, you can't tell me that's not one of the 12 best teams in the nation, Kory.
Yeah, it's like I think they've earned the respect of the committee to put them in at this point. You beat Clemson, a team that potentially has a shot at still making it to the college football playoffs. You beat Texas A&M, a team that a lot of people thought were the actual SEC team that was peaking at the right time. Then you saw what happened to them when they went against South Carolina, and then the game we'll talk about later on.
You beat Vandy.
You beat Vandy.
That's a solid win now.
Yeah. That's definitely a solid win at this point. Like, what more do these guys have to do to prove to you that they've handled their season about as well as anyone else in the country? Like, come on, a 6-game win streak in the way that they did it, they should be very much commended for that effort. And I think when you're looking at the talent on the field, I think these guys can go toe to toe with some of the best teams in the country right now.
I agree 1,000%. And then we're just looking at the other side of the coin, looking at Clemson. You got to brush this one off and lock in. Everything you want is still there. You beat SMU, you are in the playoff. Mm-hmm. You beat SMU, Dabo Swinney is vindicated. I did it my way and made the CFP. No portal needed. So it's all still right there in front of you, Clemson. Curious to see how they shake off this loss, because it's a tough one, man. It's tough losing at home to your rival in the fashion that they did, blowing a 7-point lead in the fourth.
Yeah, kind of inexcusable. If you're a Clemson fan, and I know a lot of people were down on this game because you came into it thinking that you could handle your little brother, and then you got little bro yourself at the end in your stadium, by the way.
Yes.
So it definitely was an eye opener for me to see Clemson go down in the way that they did. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. I think South Carolina did a great job in slowing down Cade Klubnik and that offense. And on the other side, if you're Clemson, you lost this game, but you got an opportunity to still right the ship and still win the ACC and represent the ACC in the 12-team playoff. So everything is still in play for both teams. It just comes down to is Clemson able to stop an SMU, and for South Carolina, will they get the nod? Will the committee give them the right of way in this 12-team playoff? So this definitely is going to be entertaining, but I guess we just got to sit back and watch what happens, Chris.
Yeah, you're right. That's all we can do.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, it was a great game overall, and yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens with both teams. But is there anything else, Chris, that you want to talk about with this game before we move on?
Sir.
All right. Well, now, Chris, we're going to move on to we talked about Clemson in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
This game was weird. So we're still in the ACC. We had Syracuse hosting number 6 Miami, Chris. And what do you know? Syracuse defeats the Hurricanes 42-38, just in a shocker. I was not looking for this to happen at all, but hey, Kyle McCord and company did it. They scored 3 touchdowns. Kyle McCord, he threw for 3 touchdowns. He was 26 for 36 with 380 yards. Just a great day for Kyle McCord. And look, we've seen a couple of games from him this season, Chris, where he's been kind of like up and down.
He has, but quiet as kept. I want to say, is he the leading passer in college football, yards wise?
You know what? That's a very, very good question. I think I need to go on the NCAA charts just to look at that.
I might have to put some respect on your name, Mr. McCord, because Ohio State's offense did justice last year, and as we see things play out this year, I don't think he was the problem, brother.
Oh my gosh, he is ahead of Cameron Ward with 4,326 passing yards, Chris. So he's above some of the top. Yeah. We look, Ohio State owes this man an apology.
They had you out here looking like a scrub. Well, you a certified baller, boy. You lead the NCAA in passing yards. I apologize.
Yeah. We did you wrong.
It's Chip Kelly and Ryan Day's fault. It's not your fault. So we're sorry, But yeah. Wow. What a day by him, and what a game by Syracuse, Kory.
Yeah. Look, Chip and Ryan Day, they should be baking this man I'm sorry cake. They should be getting on there right now, Chris.
Put the card in the mail.
With a card.
All that.
Put some money in it.
Edible arrangement. An Amazon gift card.
Look, that's still, as we recording this right now, there's still some Cyber Monday deals going on right now. Treat this man well.
They're gonna hit him with a text message this offseason. We still cool, right?
Right. You still got some eligibility, right?
Yeah, but he's gonna stick around at Syracuse, man. What a win for this Syracuse team.
Yeah. What a win.
84 season.
Mm-hmm. No one saw that coming.
No, I'm sorry. I said 84, 9-3. I apologize. They're 9-3. Just a spectacular year for Syracuse. And then you get this win over Miami. You play spoiler to finish the season. Wow. And you did so after trailing. You were down 21-0.
It's crazy.
But this is so Miami, Kory. This is Miami to a T this season.
You said it. You called it all season, Chris, when they were playing with their food. You said it flat out that they were playing with their food, and one of these days they were going to get got on the field. And that's what happened. They got. And it wasn't by a Clemson. It wasn't by an SMU. It was by Syracuse.
Syracuse.
A team that's 5-3 in conference.
They got into cruise control.
Yeah.
They thought it was sweet. 21-0. Took the gas and took off the gas pedal. It's so typical Miami this year, where they know they are the more talented team. This team, if Miami made the playoff, Kory, they very well would have won the national championship this year. I wholeheartedly believe that if they made the playoff. They have the talent on both sides of the ball. They just need the motivation. You say to them, all right, you guys, we're the champions. We're in the playoff now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll string together these games and we'll bust some heads in. They just couldn't do so during the regular season because they got bored. They got bored in this game, and then they almost turned it on and still found a way to win. I'm not trying to take away anything from Syracuse, but that's how Miami is. We've seen this all year.
That's how they work. It is definitely how they work. And yeah, man, it's it was an eye opener for a lot of people out there. It was an eye opener for me, and I'm sure you as well, Chris. But not as much. After the discussions that we had about how Miami's been playing all season. Like, look, we saw that Virginia Tech game. We should have lost that game. We saw the Cal game. And I think that was before that Virginia Tech game. They should have lost that game. We can go on and on and on. Louisville.
Yeah.
It took Georgia Tech to finally get it out of the system at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And still, you came back against the Orange, and this is how you played. With a potential college football playoff berth on the line, Yeah. So yeah, tough way to go out, especially if you're Mario Cristobal and everything you put into this season. You went and got Cam Ward to win games like this.
Yeah.
To get you in the playoff, not for you to just have a nice bowl game. You wanted to be one of the top 12 teams, and you very well should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the 12 best teams in the nation, Kory, at their peak.
Yeah.
But you didn't play up to your peak, and Syracuse took advantage.
Right. So yeah, man, it was definitely an eye opener. We'll see what happens with Miami moving forward, but you not getting an opportunity to go to the ACC championship and potentially win it. It's definitely a big blow for Mario Cristobal. So he's gonna have to definitely look in the mirror and kind of think back at the things that he got wrong leading up to that game, and try to correct it. If he gets an opportunity to still be in the 12-team playoff, which I think they will. I think they're in a similar position as Ohio State. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. But yeah, Chris, anything else you want to add to this game before we move on to our last feature game?
Nah, I think we tied a ribbon with this one, put a bow on it, so we good.
I think so too. Well, Chris, we are going to head back to the SEC. We had the biggest game in Texas, in the state of Texas, is back again. Texas A&M taking on Texas. A&M came in this game ranked number 20 in the nation. The Longhorns ranked number 3. This was a big game. Game day was down in College Station, Chris. So everyone was psyched for this renewed rivalry again between both of these storied programs. At the end, we thought A&M was going to figure some things out, Chris, but in the end, Texas escaped College Station with a 17-7 victory over the Aggies, and they have solidified themselves as a representative in the SEC championship coming up this Saturday. So against the Georgia Bulldogs. So Chris, what were your thoughts about this game? Just because, hey, that defense from Texas, they're nasty. They show why they are nasty. And Mike Elko and his squad, they had a good game plan to try to slow down Quinn too. But overall, they just couldn't get the offense to get them in the position that they needed to win this game. Marcel Reed, he threw an interception in this game. He was just 16 for 23, 146 yards. Quinn Ewers, he threw an interception as well, but he did score a touchdown as well. So, but what are your thoughts about this game and how the way it played out overall? for both teams?
Man, the Texas defense, front seven, that is the story of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M had two, not one, two drives in at the 1 yard line in this game. If you score touchdowns on those drives, you very well win this game. But Texas defense said, not today. Stuffed them both times. And just what a performance by those guys. Marcel Reed had his plays, but for the most part, this defense contained him. Texas A&M's passing game couldn't get going, and then Quinn Ewers made a few throws. Granted, he had the interception. He started to let A&M back in his ball game. Honestly, Kory, like I'm sure some Texas fans was like, "Oh my goodness, come on now, Quinn, like relax." But he made some plays. You finally saw that arm talent that we haven't seen honestly since the Michigan game with some of the throws that he made. But what we did see is a team that has a defense that is a championship caliber defense. Mm-hmm. That is 100% a fact. You can bank it. If Texas wins the national championship, they might be winning, bringing Quinn Ewers with them. It ain't gonna be, I don't think it's going to be because of Quinn, respectfully. It's going to be because of this defense. This is an elite, arguably the best defense in the nation.
Yeah, they're really good. They could stifle you. We saw that goal line play where Marcel Reed was trying to get into the end zone to try to spark some kind of an offense for the Aggies, and man, they just stuffed Reed. Of course, he had no answer, Chris. So that was just one of many instances of Texas showing their dominance defensively in this game. And hey, when Texas makes you pay, they make you pay. And I think after getting this W, they definitely have showcased why they have one of the best defenses in all of college football. And we're gonna see in the SEC championship, can a team like Georgia try to figure out another game plan to beat the Longhorns. They beat them earlier in the season, but can they stop a Texas? Can they avoid getting stopped by a Texas defense that showed up in this game against A&M? We'll see. I mean, this is going to be Texas's first SEC appearance, so I'm eager to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. And we'll talk about it more on the preview show, but things played out really perfectly for Georgia to win that first matchup, Kory. Just being honest. Outside of the score, don't just look at the score, but Georgia scored on short fields. Now, Georgia's defense creates those same opportunities, it'd be a similar outcome. But I don't know if that's likely. And so this rematch, it's going to be very interesting. Because we just saw Texas put on the show. And then we just saw Georgia go fight tooth and nail in a 7 OT thriller. I think it was 7 overtimes, if I'm not mistaken. Against Georgia.
8 overtimes.
8 overtimes. Yes. He just went 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. Hey, college football is a week-by-week thing. You can't always base your stuff off what happened last week. But I'm just saying, Texas looks to be playing the better ball at the moment.
Yeah, I think they are. And we're going to definitely see, just like you said, when it comes down to Georgia and Texas, who's going to have the upper edge over who. I like Texas's defense. I think they're definitely going to take with what they learned from the first time they played Georgia this season, and they're going to try to capitalize off with a really good game plan to see if they can take on this Bulldogs team. They win 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech, who is a really good team as well. They're gonna have to have one of their better game plans of the season, and I definitely think Sark has it in him, just because Sark is a really good coach, and this defense that they've tried it out this year is really good. So I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen.
I am too. It should be a great chess match. I'm sure Stark is cooking as we speak something up, just for Kirby and the dogs as we record. So it's going to be a great game. Definitely will be tuned in and locked in for that one.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, should be a good one indeed. But anything else, Chris, you like to add to this game before we move on to some of the other scores over the weekend?
No, sir. I think we're good to go.
All right. Well, now, folks, we're gonna go pretty quickly and go over some of the other scores that happened over the weekend. We had a game on Thursday. Number 17 Tulane went down to Memphis. 34-24 was your total, Chris. Hey, Memphis knocked out a Tulane team who was also trying to, make a name for themselves as a group of 5 team trying to, make their way into the playoffs as well. So, big win for Memphis. I told you a couple weeks ago, Chris, that I was keeping my eyes out on Memphis, and they got the W.
Yeah, you called it. You did. You called it. You said, watch out for Memphis. And they did their thing and one-handedly against a really good Tulane team. So,
yes.
So big win for the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very interested in seeing, even though it didn't happen, what Memphis would do if they had handled that game against UTSA. They had lost that game earlier in the season. Had they didn't lose it, we would be talking about Memphis trying to squeeze into the playoffs. So
I know. It's so unfortunate.
I know. It is, but hey, it's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, of course. So we'll see what happens with Memphis, heading into bowl season and next year. I mean, they always have a pretty decent squad.
That's true. They'll be solid.
Oh yeah. No worries about the Memphis Tigers here. So I think they definitely, bring the challenge, bring the best out in everyone they play each season. So yeah. Moving along, we did mention Georgia, number 7 Georgia, went to 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. 44-42 was your total. Chris, they could have scored all night. And I would have been screaming at the TV like, somebody has to win.
That was... Man, that's a game of the year candidate right there, brother.
I think so.
That was must see TV, man. That was way better than anything the NFL threw out there for you on Turkey Day and that Raiders Chiefs game too on Friday. That's real football right there. That was a game.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that was a very, very entertaining football game indeed. So yeah. Number 11, Boise State defeated Oregon State 34-18. Ashton Gianti rushed for 226 yards in the game in a touchdown. So, Gianti, he's still trying to showcase why he deserves to win the Heisman Trophy Award in New York in the next few weeks, Chris. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, put on a great display. It's just going up against Travis Hunter, so we'll see how this plays out. But he's putting forth his best effort.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. Oh man, number 14, Ole Miss, Chris, takes care of business in the Egg Bowl over Mississippi State. 26-14 was your total. They got to talk to Jackson Dart. of course, he hugged Lane Kiffin after the game. And yeah, he talked about how he hates Mississippi State, which brought one tear down to my eyes.
Yes, no love lost from the Bulldogs either. But solid win. State put up one of their better efforts this season in this game, especially defensively, holding this Ole Miss offense at just 26 points. Ole Miss didn't look so good. I mean, there was some opportunities there. State left a lot of meat on the bone. They could have made this an even closer game, and you're a couple plays and a couple mistakes away. If you take away the interception and you complete the pass to Booth, then also the early interception in the game that set up Ole Miss with 3 points, you don't have those situations happen. Who knows how this game plays out? So, hey, if you're an Ole Miss fan, I'm sure if you watched that game through and through, you were just happy you got the win.
Indeed. So hey, look, I got to give it up for Ole Miss fans out there. You had your ups and downs this year, but heck of a season, and yeah, we'll see what happens with the Rebels as well. I mean, we got signing day coming up for a lot of these teams, recruiting well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, moving along, Chris, we got number 25 Colorado, just kicked around Oklahoma State, 52-0 was your total in the finale of Travis Hunter, Shiloh, and Shadir Sanders. We saw Dion take a nice picture with his sons, of course, and yeah, that's the last game that the two brothers are gonna be at Folsom Field. So yeah, it's definitely a storybook ending, but probably not the way that Colorado wanted it. They wanted an opportunity to go to a Big 12 championship.
They definitely did. But they took out their frustrations on Oklahoma State.
That they did.
With this one.
That they did.
So, but you got to give all the credit in the world to Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and his staff, and just what they've done in just 2 years, Kory. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like it's slowing up anytime soon. They're in the running to get some high marquee transfers. Mm-hmm. Kevin Concepcion, a highly talented wide receiver from NC State, has Colorado high on his list. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're competing with the Alabamas and of the world to bring in these guys. So that tells you the pedigree that Colorado has at this point, competing with Alabama for players. So, hey man, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. But no. Definitely want to give Coach Prime his roses right now.
Yeah, you got to, and look, you can't go anywhere but up. Starting next year, of course, you're gonna have some different players, but you're gonna have some talented players coming in into this offense and just team all around. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Colorado going forward.
And in a sense, this is really like year 2. You know what I'm saying? Like your very first team was just straight portal guys. You had some high school players, but you built a brand new team. So this is your real second year of true high school talent coming in. Yeah. So if they can continue to compete next year, because I do expect a tail off, that'll really say that this team is for real. This program is really legit if they continue to play well next year. But they're setting themselves up to not go anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with Dion and the Buffaloes down in Colorado. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. So, yeah. Yes, sir. All right, moving along, we got number 1 Oregon defeated Washington 49-21. Oregon is now 12-0. Um, Number 4, Penn State defeated Maryland 44-7. Penn State now 11-1. Number 5, Notre Dame defeated USC 49-35. We had number 8 Tennessee. I watched this game a little bit, Chris. Number 8 Tennessee defeated Vanderbilt 36-23. Vanderbilt tried to make it a little bit of a game. Tried to slap around the Vols, but they eventually handled their business when they needed to, and they got out of Nashville with the W.
Yeah, they that they did. We knew Vandy would make it interesting, but Nico seemed to find his stride in this one. Completed some of those deep bombs we expected to see all season. Well, he found his men, his receivers in this one, and that's how you end up putting 36 points on the board.
Exactly. So, I'm definitely sure that put a smile on the faces of Vols fans out there. So,
indeed, it did for sure.
Yes, sir. So moving right along, we had number 9 SMU defeat Cal. 38-6 was your total in that game. Number 10 Indiana throttled Purdue 66-0. And the Iron Bowl, Chris. We talk about there was a bunch of fights over the weekend. We had a fight in the Iron Bowl. It feels like it's been a while since I've seen a good shoving around, a good fight in the Iron Bowl. But overall, Alabama won this game 28-14. Now they're just trying to see if the committee will push them into the 12-team playoff, because they're Alabama, Chris.
Yeah, you're right. It's looking very likely that it can happen. Oh boy,
but we don't want it to happen.
We don't want it to happen. But it's going to happen. I think I've accepted that. But yeah, Alabama found a way to win this game, but it sure wasn't pretty, Kory. It was not impressive at all. At all.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it kind of is what it is now. If you're an Alabama fan, you kind of see the writing on the wall with how this team's demeanor is, and their composure. Nick Saban is not walking around those hallways anymore.
That's for sure.
Yes. So yeah, but overall, they got the win over their rival Auburn. So we'll see what happens going forward with the Crimson Tide. Moving along, Chris, number 16 Arizona State defeated Arizona 49-7. Arizona State riding high. They're going to the Big 12 championship this coming week, Chris. Did not think that was going to happen, but here we are.
What a story. This Arizona State team, man, just defying the odds. I would love to see what the preseason odds were on them winning the Big 12. So we'll see if they can.
I gotta go back to that.
They can bring it home. But they are right there in the mix, and if they win, they're in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we'll see what happens going forward with Arizona State. So big win for them indeed. And moving along, number 18 Iowa State defeated Kansas State 29-21. So it will be Iowa State taking on Arizona State, if I'm not mistaken, in the Big 12 championship game. So it should be an interesting ball game.
For sure. Two teams that match up very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be tuned in to watch that game and see who potentially comes out on top.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, I'll be tuned in too.
Yes,
the Big 12 does not disappoint.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. So, yeah, I know something's wrong when the Big 12 championship game doesn't bring excitement to us. So we'll see what happens going forward this week. Number 19, BYU Chris defeated Houston 30-18. Colorado needed BYU to potentially lose their game to try to get into the Big 12 championship, and BYU took care of business over the Cougars. So that's what kind of sealed the deal for Dion and his squad. So,
right.
But big win for BYU indeed. This game, Chris, it was snowing in Como. Number 21 Missouri defeated Arkansas 28-21. Yeah, that looked like those guys were having the most fun that they've had all season, and it just shows you that the weather patterns in Columbia, Missouri are just all out of whack.
Hey man, look, I'm not shocked. Missouri, Kentucky, places like this around this time of the year, it gets a little crazy.
Yep. Absolutely. I heard Alyssa Lane from the SEC Network where she was pretty much saying her piece on going to Como and how the weather's just so crazy. She was talking to Paul Feinbaum about it, and I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh, look, it's snowing. Oh man, but hilarious indeed. But yeah. Number 22, UNLV defeated Nevada 38-14. And last game, number 23, Illinois defeated Northwestern 38-28. And those are your top 25 scores for last week in college football, week 14. So yeah. Some great games indeed, Chris. Before we get ready to head out of here, you know what time it is. We got Chief of the Week for week 14 of the college football season. Chris, I'm going to give the floor to you, good sir. Who is your Chief of the Week for week 14?
Yeah, we mentioned him earlier as we were recapping some games. My Chief of the Week is none other than Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
Look, man, 26 for 36, 380 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kyle McCord looked like a high-level blue chip prospect. He looked like the player we thought he was coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like the guy Ohio State thought they were getting, and very well probably was the guy that they got, but they just didn't know how to use him. But they ain't the problem in Syracuse. They use him just fine. And just leading Syracuse to an improbable 9-win season. If they win their bowl game, double-digit wins for the Orange. Got to give it to Kyle McCord in this one. He's just what a way to cap off what's been a great regular season for him with a huge come from behind win against Miami.
Yeah, I think it was a great performance by Kyle McCord. I mean, he's he's had like that up and down season, like I mentioned to you all year, and for this year to cap off the regular season in this fashion, can't have it any other way if you're a Syracuse fan. So big props to Kyle McCord in taking down a top team in Miami. So yeah.
What about you, my brother?
All right. For me, I gotta go with my main man, Lenore Sellers, Chris, taking down South Carolina. Not taking down South Carolina, Clemson over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, just a great job by him. He had 2 touchdowns rushing in this ball game, and he's really shown his skills, Chris, throughout the season. You've seen kind of like Kyle McCord, he's kind of had that up and down season as well, but he's really showcased and settled in why he is a leader of this offense, why he is the general, and hey, it's paid dividends at this point of the season. So, hats off to Lenore Sellers, and just hats off to South Carolina as well, because man, this was a team that I don't think a lot of people after that LSU game, and probably definitely after that Ole Miss game, definitely had it in them to potentially win the amount of games that they won.
Oh, you're right. Definitely right. And he's grown up so much as the seasons continue. So big time performance from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, man. Another great week. It was, Chris, and yeah, can't wait for us to delve deep into championship week, and also we'll talk about a little recruiting news too, as we got the early signing period coming up this Wednesday. So a lot to talk about in the world of college football for our Friday show, but it should be a fun one.
Oh, it's going to be jam packed, and we'll be right here ready to deliver all the news, all the updates.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, Chris, another solid episode, sir. We always appreciate you being on here, giving your expertise in the world of college football. But yeah, man. Before we disperse, outros. Go ahead, Chris. Let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_, and also on X at Chris_Bolton_12. I'll let your boy.
Awesome. And yeah, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, the whole nine. So yeah, definitely follow me on there. But yeah, guys, we appreciate you all listening in on the show. Like I said, we're on many different streaming platforms out there, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It's definitely beneficial for us. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So, as always, we very much appreciate you guys' support with the show. But until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We'll chat with you guys later. Peace.